Welcome to the Human Athlete Podcast, empowering your life transition beyond sport, while celebrating the whole person behind the athlete. With your hosts, Kelsi Stockard, Steve Moore, and Jaime Comer, powered by Athlete Career Transition. Here we are at our final episode of our three-part series on identity and self-worth as transitioning athletes. Thanks for listening in. Thanks for being you, and enjoy this final part. Ciao. The community. And yeah, I took that over when I transitioned into the workspace. If a boss would say like, Jaime, you need to sub some extra spin classes, or can you sub some extra spin classes? I was like, yes, I will do that. I will do everything you say, because I have to, because this is my financial stability and my security and my sense of belonging. And if I don't, I will get cut.
And not only do I have to do it, but I have to do it at the exceptional level, no mistakes, show them that I can do it perfectly and execute everything under pressure with no problems at all, because literally everything depends on this.
Yes. And this is my identity. This is the title. And if I don't keep that title, then I am nobody. I am lost. And who am I? Right. There's this funny cycle with our behaviors and our how we show up every day with our interactions. And that leads us, Kelsi, into one of the tools that I think is so powerful that tends to come up often in the conversations with athletes, transitioning athletes, is the talk around, which we've touched on, is boundaries. And so what I mean by that is, I think the way I'll put it today is I call them energy cups. Energy cups. So think of, a cup, yourself as a cup, and then there's cups in front of you, a bunch of cups in front of you. And you can think about if you have your cup, you can even make yours a pitcher, because you are grand and awesome. Just think of yourself as a pitcher, and you have all these cups in front of you, and all the cups in front of you represent everywhere you spend your energy and time. This could be a person, a relationship, the thoughts, what you tell yourself, the thoughts that you think of, like the topics that you think of, your actual job, the time you spend in the bathroom, the time, literally just everything and anything you do. And when you think about pouring, how much you pour into each section, how you talk to yourself, or doing things for other people, or maybe something for the boss, or for, your partner, or, whatever it may be. We kind of get to play and look at really where one spends their energy. And then you think about, okay, each of those cups. So say, how you talk to yourself. Does that cup, does it feel nourished, like it overflows? Or is there a hole at the bottom where it just drains out? It's draining your energy. You're not getting anything back from that, right? You're not getting anything back from putting yourself down after you make a mistake. Or are you? You decide. It's your choice of how you decide. And these energy cups, kind of, they tell us where we have boundaries, or where we want to make boundaries. Wait a minute, I'm spending so much energy, in this job because I haven't really, set my timeline. I'm saying yes to everything. So is that serving me? Is that really my best interest, for example, for my work?
I love this visual. And I think for me personally, as an athlete, even though I'm a transitioned athlete now, excuse me. Even as a transitioned athlete, I feel like for some reason my pitcher, the water that's in my pitcher, is going to work harder than anyone else. So I can put all of my energy in all these cups and give every single one my 100%, because this is strong water. I'm an athlete.
Yeah.
It's I don't know why that is, but especially when I was in sport, and especially as I transition now, I'm I find myself trying to pour so much into each of my cups, because I'm yes, I can do it all. I can do it all.
I can do it all. That's the phrase.
I'm that's not holy water. That is not especially energized water. It is just water. It is your energy. And you need to respect how many cups you're putting it into.
Yeah.
You need to set boundaries with that.
And even if you can, I think that's the thing. Even if you can, do you really want to? And that's where we go into that space of what you said, what makes you authentically happy? Authentically happy Kelsi, authentically happy you listening. What do you actually want to do? So if you think about those cups you pour your energy into, do you actually want to pour energy into some of those? you know, is that what you genuinely want? Or is it something you feel like you have to do or need to do? And how does that play with self-worth, sense of identity?
And where does the people pleasing and the,
Yep.
making coach happy, where does that fall? I'm like, is this,
Yep.
so this cup, is it a, is it a Kelsi cup or is it a coach cup?
Yeah. And even looking at, let's look at, so if we have a pitcher, what really actually fills our pitcher? Because,
Ooh.
you can't fill these cups if your pitcher's empty. So what actually fills yours? And I feel like whatever fills yours, that's the self-worth. Like that's like making sure that your pitcher is like, we've heard the phrase, make sure your cup is full, but let's explore what that is. Like what actually nourishes you versus drains you.
Ooh.
I wonder.
Yeah. Right. And I think that's part of this whole journey, of self-worth and figuring it out, especially coming from sport and not carrying those heavy expectations and this is what I need to do because this is what you do to become the best,
Yep.
Kind of like letting that go and exploring, okay, so what does make me happy? Like, do I like going to the gym? Do I like, instead of working out in the gym, do I like going on hikes?
Oh yeah.
What is the happiness? And I think through that journey as athletes, we really have to let go of those external expectations, even the internal expectations we have of ourselves.
Yep.
Some of them need to be let go. They don't serve us anymore. So like when you're reevaluating and you're looking at your cups and you're looking at your water and where that water's coming from and what's filling it, I challenge our listeners to really, really just talk to yourself. I said it in our self-compassion episode, but talk to yourself like you would a teammate, like, going through a teammate who's struggling to let go of all these cups. Like look at a cup and be like, do you really need to do this? Or can we toss this cup? Talk to yourself like that and like look through your cups and be like, okay, no, this cup is not, it served me for a long time. This made me really happy for a long time. And I don't need it anymore. I'm going to let this cup go, because I feel like if we don't take that self-inventory and really focus on what makes us happy and being okay with letting some of the things go. Like, yes, once in our lives, waking up at 5 a.m. to train and to do X, Y, and Z before work, it served us once upon a time. But honey, we have grown. It's not serving us anymore. So it's okay that your workout's at 7 a.m. now, because for me in this workplace, when I first started my role, it was so like, up at the crack of dawn, we're doing it. We're just going to bang out some work. We're going to do all the hard stuff and just hammer it out. And I'm realizing like, wait, that really doesn't make me happy. That's a boundary I don't really want to, it's a boundary I want to establish to be like, what? I need my time in the morning to like wake up, set intention for my day, be with myself and make sure like, okay, are you going to live your day authentically today, Kelsi? Cool. Let's do this. And then go attack the day, versus that like athlete mentality of like, wake up, do it, go to training, go to practice, hit the gym, go to the meeting, do it all,
Yes.
So I really challenge our listeners to be okay with letting go of some things that served us once before, but they don't serve us anymore. And that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So if we're looking at all the different tools that we've been talking about, so we can really take stock of them, many of them are question-based or observation-based, where, asking these questions around, does something still serve us? Looking at, and also the tool of, pausing to reflect, okay, what am I, beliefs around my self-worth, what am I carrying? What are they attached to? And if there's any that aren't serving me anymore, what do I want to do with them? And one thing we can add to that, if you do find one that is blocked, you're like, I want to let this go, but I don't know. You just start to get scared about it. You're just stopped, let's just continue asking questions around it. I invite you to think about, well, what's at the heart of that? What's at the heart of this? I don't want to let this go. What's at the heart of, I don't want to let, I don't know how, the pleasing people. That's what I'm thinking of. Like, pleasing other people, putting other people first. What's at the heart of that? Okay. My answer is, well, I don't want to let anyone down. Okay. Well, what's at the heart of that? Well, I don't want to get yelled at. Okay. What's at the heart of that? Well, I want to be appreciated and be accepted. Okay. What's at the heart of that? Well, really, I just really want to be loved. Just like thinking that childlike need. I just want to be loved and appreciated and accepted. Okay, cool. Now I know. Okay. So does that still serve me? I don't know. We can learn from that process. So we can continue asking questions. So if you want to learn more about, why, some of your behaviors that are coming up, or these, aspects that you're finding out about yourself, about self-worth, just ask these questions. What's at the heart of that? Right. Right. We can also, as we're reflecting on tools, Kelsi, we talked about the cups piece. So you can actually think about, okay, my cup, what drains my cup? And I'm not going to say drain is a bad thing, but it's kind of like some of these cups that you put your energy into might send the energy right back to you, right? You love playing your sport, it sends the energy right back to you, right? If for some reason you don't love your sport, then the energy is going to be draining out, right? So it could be the same thing, sport, it's just your relationship with it. So you can look at these energy cups, look at what nourishes you, look at what drains you, to help you decide what type of boundaries you do actually maybe want to create, or maybe, as Kelsi, as you shared, what you actually are ready to let go of. Yeah.
Yeah. And the best part is once you start creating these boundaries with yourself, okay, this isn't serving me anymore, I'm going to let go of this, or that cup is giving me energy back, I'm going to keep pouring into this cup. When you kind of start identifying that and setting boundaries with yourself, you'll be able to start setting boundaries outside of yourself. So may that be in the workplace, with your partner, with your children, with your friends, with your family, whoever it may be. You'll slowly start like building up that courage to set those boundaries. And then before you know it, these boundaries will be helping you live more authentically, and you'll be feeling more energized, and you'll have a clear vision of like, okay, this is where I'm going. It's kind of like directing you to that, like that light at the end of the tunnel, which is you, and which is what makes you happy. So it all starts with yourself, so set those boundaries with yourself first, and then see the ripple effect it happens on the rest of your life.
Oh, I love that you just said ripple effect too, that you just said it starts with yourself, Kelsi. So one of the transition theories that I've created based off of this work with the athletes is, so and this goes off of, it's similar to social models, and there's pre-existing versions of this. This is just kind of like my take on it and translation of it is, what we first work on is your relationship with yourself. And that's at the heart of, your inner transition, how you're processing all this change in your life as an athlete, moving out of sport and exploring your identity and your self-worth. Like, what is your relationship with yourself? And as you explore that and also change or shift or move around or just learn new learnings around that and just decide, who you are in that space, it affects this outer ring. It's like this ripple. So you drop the pebble in the center, and that's your relationship with yourself. And it first impacts your relationship with yourself. And then the outside, the next ripple is, your outer lens, how you see the world around you, what you see, because what we see around us is based off of, how we see ourselves, right? If I feel angry at myself, if I think I'm not worthy, most likely I'm going to find the not worthiness in other people. I'm going to say that person's not worthy. I'm going to judge that person. I'm going to judge that person, and really at the heart of it is I'm just judging myself. I don't think I'm worthy. I'm very great at something. And so we have that outer lens of how we see the world. And then the third ripple, the third wave, so to speak, is our outer expression, how we show up, which, as you're saying, like how you show up, those boundaries. So I create the actual physical boundaries of what I need by, getting up early in the morning, or sleeping in the morning, or, creating a morning ritual, or changing my workload, or saying no to this person. Yeah. How's that resonate?
Oh my gosh. You nailed it. You nailed it. I mean, it's so funny because when I was like deep in my depression and deep in the not feeling worthy, I hated everyone around me. I was always finding issues, like people at the grocery store, people at work, whatever. It was always like, how dare they? Like, so judgy and so just like, who do you think you are? And I was like looking at myself like, who do you think you are? Like, what? And it really is. It really went from, thinking it was sports, or thinking it was all these other people, or thinking it was these toxic relationships I've had, or whatever it may be, when I kind of like worked through it all and like I realized it's myself, like I got to love myself. I got to feel worthy. I got to, have a relationship with myself, a positive relationship with myself. That, these ripples, I started noticing these ripples. And I just want to encourage the athletes who are listening, or the people who are listening, who are in that transition where they don't know what self-worth is. They don't know who they are. And they're like in that confusing time. I really encourage you to like get that flashlight out and kind of like light the dark and scary places, put light to it. It's like a kid, when kids are so scared of the dark and they're scared of monsters. It's not until you like put a light on it and like, look, that coat hanging monster, it's a coat hanging up, in the dark.
Yeah.
When you start flashing the light on it and like actually addressing the hard times and starting to realize who you are, you'll start to figure that out, and you'll start to nourish that relationship. And it feels really lonely. It feels really scary and overwhelming. And you can do it. You're capable of looking through and like looking inward and taking inventory of what's making you happy and what's not, to slowly start identifying what your self-worth is and how you see yourself. So then you can create this pebble with this ripple effect, and you can start showing up for people how you want to be, because you'll start figuring out how you want to show up. But it really is just taking the honest approach and just looking inward. It's really hard sometimes, but
yeah. Oh, it is. Oh, it's simple though. It is simple, isn't it? The honest approach is looking inward and just seeing what you see with through a lens of, curiosity, let's say, versus that harsh judgment, which is so hard. It's so easy to judge ourselves in any situation. And Kelsi, what comes to mind for me too is this, when we are in the thick of it, when we're like, well, I don't feel worthy, I don't know who I am, what can I do in this space? Because that space is the heart, you're at the depths of the depths. Like there's nowhere but up from there. But how do I get up? How do I actually get that momentum? Because that's the point, when we're in that depth, depressive state. And again, I resonate with that. I went through the really hard, rough, just inner times and didn't connect, didn't talk to people about my own journey during transition. I didn't connect and share how much I was struggling during that time. How we get that momentum moving forward, it's slow to start. We got to remember that too. It may not feel like there's much movement where you are. If you're struggling in that moment, there is movement. You are moving forward. You're listening to this podcast first off, and trying new things. And I'm wondering what we can offer in this space to somebody who feels like that they're in the thick of it. They're the kind of that dark space of who am I? Where's my worth? Like, come on, let's get something.
Man, that's a heavy question.
Yeah.
I guess what I hope to offer through these episodes, for someone who is going through that, is just that little spark that you'll need. It just takes one little light, one match to light a fire, and remembering that. And, when you're finding yourself in the thick of it and you're finding yourself alone and scared and not really know where to go, just think about, okay, what's one thing that I can do? What's one thing that I'm really, 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 really good at? And what's one thing that I can do? And just start there. And if maybe it's like, okay, for me, sometimes it's as simple as like, I'm going to fill up my essential oils so my house smells good. So my space where I'm at smells good.
Yep.
And sometimes that is the biggest thing I accomplished during that day. But it's doing that one small act for yourself. Because then tomorrow when you're feeling like you can't do anything, you're like, oh wait, I did that yesterday. I can do that again today. And you do that. And then it's one more thing. It's one more thing. It's one more like, okay, maybe I should sit with myself and try to sit with myself for 5 minutes, see what that's like. Because when you're in the thick of it, sitting with yourself is really uncomfortable and it's not fun because you don't want to explore inwards. So, just start small, small little progress, small little steps. And again, if you're struggling, look at yourself like you would a teammate. How would you help your teammate out?
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Kelsi. Thank you. Another thing that comes to mind for me is the power of what the Human Athlete Collective is. in terms of bringing people together from all walks of life, in terms of all over the world, and such a diverse group, and where it's a safe space. So I'm kind of putting out there to the universe to let's make a calling for more human athlete collectives where people can come together and where we can try on new ways of being, where it's a place to come together to talk, to hear from each other also, because there's this sense of, just I think inspiration and motivation when we hear about someone else going through an experience, or whether they already went through their transition, whether they already have struggled through transition, or they've like totally excelled and they feel great, whatever it may be. It gives us this hope and sense of connection and belonging that we may or may not have during our transition time. And particularly like as we explore our identity, as we explore our self-worth. So this is the call out to the universe to let's create more human athlete collectives, a place where we feel heard, we feel safe to be ourselves, to show up as we are, where we can try on new ways of being, when we can learn from each other, and we can really be curious about how to be, the most fulfilled version of ourselves.
Oh, that is so powerful. And I can only speak highly of being a part of the athlete collective and how amazing just that, even that first meeting was, and how so many different athletes felt seen. They felt understood, because it's like, oh my gosh, they get it too. It's like when you're on a sporting team and, you have these teammates that some you instantly click with and instantly you get along with, and some you guys are just really different. And then you find these like similar commonalities or similar experiences or whatever it may be. You find things that you're like, oh, you get it. And you have this like sense of humor and that sense of connection. Right. And that is exactly what that human athlete collective is. It's really that, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. Other people have experienced this. And it's for me, it was that first kind of like, take that cloak of shame off. Like, yeah, you're a retired athlete, like right on.
Yeah.
You did that, instead of being like, oh, I'm a retired athlete, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
It was that first step in taking that the cloak of shame off. And it was simply by connecting with people who get it, people who understand, people who are with you,
Yes. And it's also that feeling of like, oh wait, I'm not supposed to know exactly who I am right now. Like, I don't have to know who I am right now. I don't have to.
That's okay.
Be perfectly knowing that this is the job for the rest of my life, or for what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Like, oh, okay, great.
I feel so often that like, just as humans, we are always like, oh my gosh, they have it together. Maybe it's social media that doesn't help. All of the things, all the different venues, it's like we look at everyone and we're just like, oh my God, they have it together. They totally have it together. But it's like, wait, you don't have it together either?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Hey, we're human.
Confused too. Well, and then and for me, it's like, so it's been so validating, because, I didn't get to go to the Olympics. I didn't have a medal to say I'm just a USA rugby player, which I've accomplished so much more than that. But when I connected with these other people, and I see like this Olympic gold medalist, they're experiencing that same struggle that I'm experiencing. Like, whoa, it almost like, while it not only like took that shame off and like the reality of it, but it also was like kind of helped me like feel more pride and feel more value about myself, and like kind of build that relationship again. It's like, Kelsi, you are an amazing athlete. Like, and you're dealing with this and you're struggling through this transition. And so are all these other people. So are all these other amazing athletes, because we're human, because it's a hard time, and it's a messy journey trying to figure out this self-worth and self-compassion and who we are and what our identity is without sport. And it's okay, because others are dealing with it too. You're not alone.
Totally. Let's all just get the finger paint out and get messy together and just be human together. And that's what we are here on the Human Athlete Podcast. And as we're exploring this self-worth and identity, Kelsi, one other tool that comes up to mind for me is a word. It's so poignant around, or powerful, around self-worth, I feel like. And this was an eye-opener for me. It was around partnerships. And what I mean by partnerships is the people or organizations or companies or anything or anybody that we connect ourselves with, and finding that. So speaking of flow, like with the energy cups, right? Kind of finding a mutual beneficial flow for both, and making sure, or maybe taking stock of whether our partnerships, our relationships actually have the mutual flow of a give and take relationship that we actually want, that honors our self-worth. So say, for example, if, you know, someone asks, oh, hey, can you come and talk to my kid's school? Like, if that brings us joy, then that is a beautiful mutual relationship, right? If it doesn't bring you joy and you do it, that may not feel like a mutually beneficial relationship then, because it doesn't seem like it's something that you love, right? Another example is, you know, you're being asked, well, you're being hired on for a job, but not at the, you know, what you feel like you're deserving of financially, or what you need financially, you know, and is that the mutually beneficial relationship that you want? You know, so it could look like financially related. It could be the energy we spend. It could be how we feel when we're with someone. And maybe that's the biggest thing too, is recognizing, you know, how we feel at the end of, after we're with somebody or after we've worked with somebody, what that looks like.
I think that is such a massive tool, and something that can really help, not only in, you know, kind of figuring out the flow of partnerships, but also creating those boundaries. You know, you allow
Yeah.
yourself that
Yep.
time to reflect. And I know, like for me, like I feel, you know, with teammates, you feel obligated to like stay in touch with them and stay friends with them because
Mm-hmm.
you train together for so long. And some of them I would see their social media posts, or I would talk to them in person, and I would just feel so like, ugh, like
Yeah.
the energy was like draining. And it's okay to set up boundaries and establish boundaries where it's like, okay, I'm not going to see this person's stuff, or, you know, whatever it may be, whatever
Yeah.
your
It's
boundary may
okay to
be.
say goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah, because by the time, just by establishing that boundary or establishing whatever it may be, you're going to feel better about yourself more and more. And you're going to feel that
Mm-hmm.
energy. You're not going to feel those down moments of energy of where it's like, oh, I just spoke to this person. Now I just feel, you know,
Yep.
you're going
Yep.
to be like, you're only going to have these relationships that you're just constantly feeling energized. And then before you know it, you'll have more water from your pitcher to flow into the energy cups. And then maybe you can open up a new cup and start pouring a little water and be like, oh, what is this? I've
Mm-hmm.
always wanted to explore this. Like
Mm-hmm.
for me, I saw this girl do some skateboarding. She was a woman, a 37-year-old mom, decided I wanted to try skateboarding, and what was the shame behind that? And for me, I'm like, dude, I want to do something like that, but there's always so much like shame, you know. And but once you start establishing these relationships and, you know, kind of creating this relationship with yourself and filling up your cups, who knows, you might have more energy to go learn some skateboarding soon, you know.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah. When I was doing a kind of some of my own kind of entrepreneurial, you know, I was doing a mix of like kind of life coaching, and then some yoga, and then some speaking, and I was also selling these positive energy bracelets. Like, I was doing a mix of stuff at the time. I was still actually even making health food. My husband and I were making health food for the Southern California like fitness community. And I was spreading my energy so thin because I thought like I had to do everything, because I thought I could do everything. So I did. I tried. And some of it though wasn't bringing me joy. It just wasn't at that time. It started by bringing me joy, but at a certain point I was realized, you know, this isn't fun anymore. And also I have a young kiddo. Like, this is really like, I need to focus on what actually brings me joy, where I want to spend my energy, looking at the partnerships that feel the most beneficial in both ways. So looking at those partnerships, I started crafting and, you know, saying no to some and closing out some partnerships. And it was really hard to say no, being someone who was not used to doing that as often. And what happens though, as you said, more opportunities started appearing in the direction that I actually wanted to go in. You know, those cups started appearing instead of me having to chase after a cup and try to create a cup. It was like these new opportunities started appearing because I was literally just saying, hey, this is the stuff I want, and saying no to the things I didn't want. And, you know, we've heard that phrase, they say yes to what you want, say no to what you don't want. And easier said than done, right? And this is a way to do it though. Look at it through your partnerships, at least. That's to notice what is nourishing you, what's not nourishing you, where there's a give and take, where there's not, right?
Yeah, it's powerful, super
Mm-hmm.
powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it encourages you to look inward and check with yourself and check with your authentic self, which is hard to do, but also once you start doing it, oh, it feels so good.
Ooh, I'm noticing this theme of self-awareness and just reflection and tuning in and listening to what our bodies, our hearts are telling us, and that we speak about in every episode. So for you listening, I hope you've enjoyed, this culmination of episodes where we've covered, what self-worth is, how it connects to identity, how it shows up in sport, how it shows up in transitioning, and really the journeys for Kelsi and I of self-worth, and the tools around, our partnerships, our energy cups, our boundaries, around asking questions to help guide us, about pausing and looking and tuning inward, about turning a flashlight, looking at the dark spots, and being open with that, and loving with that, with what we find. And also, maybe finding people to talk to about this who are in similar situations. And if you are interested, comment here, leave us a note, reach out to us, message us on Instagram. Let us know that you are interested in the Human Athlete Collective. We want to hear from you what you're interested in. We want to know. Let's make this happen.
Seriously, please comment, because not only will I be the one responding, but I want more teammates. And I think this Human Athlete Collective is literally full of teammates from all over the world who understand and who get it. And our captain, our chief transition guide, Jaime, guides us through these amazing, these conversations where we can talk about the real stuff, and we can start taking that cloak of shame off, because we're surrounded by people who understand and who get it, and who are there to help support you, help motivate you, just to be a teammate. And it feels so good to find this this sense of team after sport, because even though we're not competing, us athletes, we love that sense of team. And this Human Athlete Collective, it is it. I'm telling you, it is. We talk about vulnerable stuff, we talk about real stuff, and we connect and we get it. So as an athlete, as a transitioning athlete, as a human, I can't say enough about this Human Athlete Collective. It's amazing. And Jaime does such a wonderful job guiding us through these conversations.
Thank you, Kelsi. I'm just going to marinate on that for a moment. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
Wow. We hope you just were able to, whatever spoke to you, I'll say for you listening, whatever spoke to you from these episodes, take what resonates with you, take what speaks to you, leave the rest, or come back to it when you're ready, or come back to it when it does speak to you. And just know that where you are in your journey you are enough in your journey right now. You are worthy in your journey right now. There's nowhere you're supposed to be, nowhere where you have to be, nothing you have to get to be enough to where you are. You are enough right here in this moment, very much so here. And we all are human, and we all have these wild thoughts and feelings that we experience during this time at a very heightened level. And
super heightened level.
Yep. Heightened level. And thank you for being you, Kelsi. Thank you for being you. And we'll see you all next time.
Thank you all.
Thank you for joining us today on the Human Athlete Podcast. To learn more, we invite you to visit www.athletecareertransition.com. See you next time.